Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and this evening I'm just going to talk about some news, politics, and get into some social issues. Now, for the most part, in the news that I see is more Democratic propaganda. You have the Democrats still believing that ICE is the problem. In fact, let me give you some news that was on WHTR TV 13 here in Indianapolis. On 86th Street, there's a school called North Central High School. In fact, Babyface, if you're familiar with the R&B singer, he actually went to that high school. And do you know that these kids, and this is a high school, these kids were out there shouting, "No more ICE." Now, it is very, very despicable when kids are being used for this political ploy set up by the Democrats. You have to look at what's going on when it comes to the Democrats. Democrats, in my humble opinion, they don't have any allegiance to America. They want to keep everybody as a victim. You have your feminism, your alphabet community, you have your racism. All of the Democrats are basically using Black people's civil rights movement to bolster themselves. And what I believe is happening, they're trying to get Black people on board with the issue of illegal immigration. Now, I'm going to tell you what's going to come down the pipe, and they're already working on it right now. The Republicans are going to try to push the Voter Act. That's right, the Voter ID Act. I mean, you've already seen information coming down regarding the 2020 election. Now, it's funny how the Democrats can talk about January 6th, 2021, but they don't want to talk about what happened during the election. And we know the Democrats did not play fair. This is why the Democrats want to use illegal immigrants. There are a lot of states in this country, particularly the blue states, that count illegal immigrants in the census. Now, the reason why the Democrats want to keep counting illegal immigrants is because it keeps their seats in Congress. Now, I know there is information going around too, believe it, in Texas, that the Texas State House, there's a Democrat that won a special election. Well, let me tell you, the special election is only good until November, but in Texas, it's still a Republican majority. The Democrats think that every special election win is going to bolster them up for the midterms. Now, I will say this, you do have a lot of dumb people here in America. They don't know what they're talking about half the time. They get on YouTube, they get on the news, and the media doesn't want to report anything. The media doesn't report that there are criminal illegal immigrants. The media is just going to keep putting out there Trump is a fascist, Trump is a Nazi, Trump is like Hitler. So all that hate against Trump. Now, you're going to have a lot of individuals out here who are going to vote by way of emotion. This is why I came up with the acronym LED. This is why I came up with the acronym called LED. Lies, emotion, assumption, and deception, and delusion, and disease. The Democrats are really delusional. They're using the same old playbook. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith for actually calling us out. Now, I'm still not on board with Stephen A. Smith. He flip flops, but I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of other guys that I listen to. Shout out to Professor Nez. He does great research. Get on over to his channel. Shout out to Dr. Steve Turley. His content is excellent as well. And of course, Machismo TV. And shout out to Mr. O and Matt Cole if you're out there. Shout out to you and shout out to you, brother Guy King. And also shout out to you, my brother. I got on the phone with him from Fort Wayne. And that's brother Angry Snowman too. In fact, in his city, Fort Wayne, they had the same demonstrations. They're not big. And here in Indiana, the demonstrations aren't going to be big here. But in California, believe it was California, the teachers had kindergartners talking about ICE. So you know the indoctrination is real. And this is what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats are talking about fascism. Well, if you look at what's going on here, the Democrats want to invoke communism. Now, I know I heard a Chaotic Truth video last night, and he had some black people on the show. Now, I listened to it. It's about an 11-hour stream, and you had a black woman on there, and you had a black man that were going head to head. They told half truths. They gave the history that they heard. The black woman is interacting with a white man, and she says that most black men are weak. There is some truth to that. But why are most black men weak? Most black men are weak because they've been raised by black women. In fact, the number of black men who have been sons of black women were sons who didn't have a father, or sons who have a father, but he wasn't around, or they weren't married. And you have a lot of this going on. And this is why every black woman was in power. I know you're going to have a black woman running for governor in Georgia. And I'm black myself, but I don't want black women in power. They just destroy everything. In fact, DJ, let's put her name out, my sweet chocolate, she had on a video. And it was a woman, and I'm not going to put her name out there. One was a reverend, and one was a woman that went on Facebook and tried to throw some BS at me. But they were so high on these women empowerment conventions. Let me tell you something. Women aren't going to get power unless we give them power. And the problem with the West is this. And it all starts from the Shirley Chisholms, the Sojourner Truths, the Susan B. Anthonys. We've given women absolutely too much power. And now I don't believe women should even vote. Women are the biggest voting bloc, but you have too many women, particularly your liberal white woman. She's basically leading everybody off of a cliff, and she's talking about racism when everything that the liberal white woman talks about coming from the left, she's blaming the right with it. That is her. I have never heard anybody more racist than these white liberals. You have blacks talking the same thing. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to a number of my blacks out there. I don't have to agree with you politically, but you're staying out of this ruckus. And one thing that whites need to know, the police or law enforcement, they will take you out as well. And then it was tell you some racism. It was a white woman. Yeah, it's all video. It's stolen over $500,000 from a church. Police didn't even handcuff her. But if it was me, I'd have been sitting under the jail. We already know the system isn't fair. And when it comes to Black people, you know the riots that took place, particularly after Martin Luther King perished? Well, Black people burned their own businesses down. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that Martin Luther King, he was getting ready to start the Poor People's Campaign up, which was basically similar to Black Lives Matter, Marxism, everything about the Black Panther Party. Yes, they may have done some good things, but it was basically engulfed in Marxism. This is what Black people aren't looking up. Martin Luther King went to the school of communism. He wasn't everything that he was supposed to be. But you have a bad education system. And that education system is brainwashing all of our children. They grow up and they're working for the media. In fact, here's what's happening in this country. You got, I can't believe his name, can't remember his name, but he's an American who lives in China. And do you know he's funding these protests? But he's working with communist China. It's an American. Is that not treason or what? But all these protests that are taking place, they're well orchestrated. But many people don't know why they're out there protesting. But they're being told what to say. They're being paid. They're paid agitators. Now, you had a Black woman who orchestrated that fiasco by walking up into the church while people were praying. And you had Don Lemon there talking about free speech. Well, let me tell you something about free speech that you need to know. The government put free speech and free expression out there, the First Amendment, to basically protect speech we don't agree with, or speech that is totally ignorant. However, free speech does not work in a church, and it doesn't work in the workplace. You don't have free speech. And you don't necessarily have free speech here on social media. I mean, I've been on YouTube now for 10 years, and I've seen YouTubers come and go because of what they said. This is why I haven't monetized my channel, because I know my channel would have been shut down. But when it comes to what's going on with people, the Democrats think they can take the same playbook into the midterms. Well, Mondani, there's something else that's going on in the news. Promised the folks in New York everything. He has this another liberal white woman who really wants to take property rights away from the citizens, even some people of color. But the people who voted for Mamdani, many of them weren't New Yorkers. They were foreigners. Now, from my humble opinion, people like Ilhan Omar should not be in power. In fact, going back to Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman from New York, and I mentioned her in the video last week. I called her Ilhan. I didn't care about her last name. But I believe all that happened with her having some vinegar thrown on her. They were talking about what's that smell? It was apple cider vinegar. Doesn't smell that bad. I drink a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every day with some water. But the bottom line is, I believe that was all staged. It was all staged because it's a distraction of what's going on in Minnesota with all the fraud. This is why people want to run to Minnesota. And it's not just Somalis behind the fraud. It's Tim Walz and Jacob Fry. Now, Jacob Fry is going to have a hearing. Now, the problem with these hearings is nobody's getting the bar slammed in front of them, and the key is going away. But they keep talking about this woman, Renee Good, that got shot and killed for trying to run over law enforcement. And they had another guy, keep bringing his name up. Yeah, he was a military guy. He got in a physical altercation and he lost his life. Now, I don't want anybody to lose their lives. But if you're going to do something stupid, you know it's going to happen. But why isn't anybody talking about Ashley Babbitt? Now, was everybody on January 6, 2021, were they all MAGAs? I believe some of them who infiltrated that crowd were Antifa. I believe that. And the bottom line is this. The Democrats keep talking about January 6, 2021, but they don't want to talk about the 2020 election. You know why? Because we know they cheated. Went to bed and Trump was leading, woke up, Biden was leading. I mean, they're finding ballots. They're going after the Dominion machines. Now, what is the connection between Maduro of Venezuela and the Dominion machines? Well, you know, Maduro, he won by cheating. Maduro was the one that actually succeeded Hugo Chavez, the communist. And the problem with a number of Americans, this all starts with the colleges. Now, here's what I would do for all the colleges. You're going to teach communism, take away your funding. Minnesota should have their funding revoked. California, they're already maintaining their riots in the state of Washington, in California. But what's not heard, and I'm going to repeat this over and over and over again, Obama did the same thing. In fact, Obama deported more illegals than what Trump is doing. Trump is just cleaning up the mess that Biden left. And Biden, his administration was the most corrupt immigration. I mean, his administration was the most corrupt because he let a lot of immigrants in. They were flying in, they were being bussed in, and they were getting hotels. Trump is cleaning up 4 years of what Biden messed up. Now, if you're going online and you're going into Microsoft Edge and you're going into Yahoo and you see all of these news clips, like, or news articles like Politico and Newsweek telling you how bad Trump is, that's all a deception to keep people who look at the media to dumb them down, to let them know that the media says Trump is doing bad. You have your low IQ people who are going to believe Trump is doing bad. Bottom line is this. Don't look at news. In fact, I don't even watch Fox News. Every once in a while, I might listen to Jesse Waters or Laura Ingraham, but that's it for Fox News. Cable news is corporate news. It is no longer legitimate. It's just like the alphabet channels. The bottom line is this. You want real news, you get it from people like me, Will Johnson, Barry Cunningham. We actually read into what's going on in this country. We care about our country. Yes, Black people have gone through a lot. I'm happy Black people aren't getting involved into this fiasco. This is all white liberals. People tearing down this country are white liberal women. They're urban and suburban women, but you're utilizing black women, the dumb black women. And it seems to me that you have a number of these individuals who go to college. And I'm just going to tell you something about college. All that bragging about getting your degrees, being the most educated people, see, particularly black women would say this so they don't have to listen to a black man. Your degree didn't mean anything. Now a lot of you black women are out of jobs. In fact, your biggest part in the job market as black women was the federal government. Now that the federal government has cut a lot of jobs, many of you are going to be out of work and you're trying to turn to TikTok and YouTube and social media to actually make your money. Some of you are going to make it and some of you aren't going to make it. This is what happens when you listen to the left. The left in this country wants to keep dumbing individuals down, and they're going to keep going after kids, brainwashing kids. These are adults. And I'm not looking at it from the aspect of good and evil. I'm looking at it from the aspect of these kids are going to be grown, and that history that we have in the past is going to be washed away. And see, for black people, one of the reasons why we don't know our history is because we never documented everything. At least white people documented what went on through their history. But again, even when you have the white man out here, the thing that the white man has touched, he's conquered everything, but he's also destroyed everything as well. And now what's happening is you got whites clashing each other. And it's so funny to watch them clash against each other. I mean, you had Charlie Kirk on one side. What happened to him? You believe it or not, there was a Democratic congresswoman from Arizona. She got tapped in the head a long time ago. You had one that was taken out in Minnesota. Have you had any African Americans taken out? No. But when it comes to police, we already know what the police will do to us, even if we're innocent. Now, I'm not saying all police officers are bad, but what a number of you Caucasians are getting is a taste of your own medicine. See, that white supremacy has carried into white guilt. And a number of you liberals out there, you're really trying to get blacks to come into your war. No, you started it, you finish it. And there's going to be a number of people out there that are going to get struck down by ICE. And that was the second one that got deleted. That was the border agents. This is law enforcement. And see, what's happening is the people we need to go after are the leaders. Go after Brandon Johnson. We've already gotten Don Lemon. I believe Don Lemon wanted that to happen to him because he has a lot of sympathizers. In fact, Don Lemon, he got arrested, released, and I believe he was on the Grammys. And this is what's happening. See, the Democrats really think they're winning because they're utilizing the media. And there's so many people out here who watch the mainstream media and they believe everything that the mainstream media says. They're also watching individuals who are on TikTok. They're listening to their college professors, but they're not getting the whole truth. And the media is not going to give you the whole truth. A number of individuals don't know what the Insurrection Act is. And other people don't even know what the KKK Act is. And other people don't know what base is. Base is when you are trying to rebel. That's the FACE Act or the FACT Act. One of them. It starts with an F. But the bottom line is individuals are going to Minnesota because there's a lot of fraud going on in Minnesota. But it's not just Minnesota, it's other states, some more than others. I live here in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's a red state, but Indianapolis and Fort Wayne are both sanctuary cities. In fact, there's a black woman mayor who's running Fort Wayne. There's another black woman mayor who's running Lawrence. And for your sisters, I believe your days of leadership, they're going to be over. There was one who tried to run as a senator here in Indiana, got creamed. We're going to take a lot of you down, people like Stacey Abrams, because most of you black women out here, you are a big voting bloc for the Democratic Party, but you follow white feminism. In fact, you're more feminist than even the white feminists are. You're the voting bloc. You're the mouthpiece. A lot of you don't know what's going on out here. You get on these shows, you try to psych yourselves up like you're strong when you're really weak. You think you know what's going on and you don't. And it's not all sisters out here, not all brothers out here. But the bottom line is we have too many women who are going into politics, too many women who are trying to lead, and they can't do it. They don't understand time management. They're basing everything off of how they feel. Well, feelings will get you killed out here. Feelings are very impulsive. They change. You have to look at what's going on. You have some that run their mouths. You know, I always hear that a woman can make a man mad, but a man's supposed to walk away. But if a man makes a woman mad and a woman slaps him, well, he's supposed to take everything. No, slap her back. You want equality, this is what you're going to get. And I've seen many videos where guys are starting to connect with some of these women out here. Now, of course, you got the simp who doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to play Captain Save-A-Ho and cause a problem. See, that's another problem. And, you know, watching that Chaotic Truth video, that black woman was right when she said a number of black men are weak, but see, from her perspective, she wanted to use that as a reason to go date that white boy. Because she was dating a white boy. And there was another black woman who said the best power couple are the black woman and the white man. Why is that? Because the white man is giving you access to his dollars so you can destroy the black man, because that's exactly what you're doing. You think your college degrees go a long way when you're not really majoring in anything of any substance at all. Most of your degrees are in bullshit. That's why they call them bullshit degrees. You go get a doctorate degree. In fact, degrees now, they're very easy to get. People are going to Walden University, which is a for-profit school. I was talking to somebody today about Purdue Global. Talked to him on the phone. And I was going to say, well, what do you got to have to go? What do you got to have to get an MBA or a DBA? Oh, well, you have to have a business administration degree to get a MBA. Well, you know, I know that's all bullshit, because for the most part, I had to tell the person, I said, when I went to Temple University and I got a degree in engineering, there were a number of people failing out of engineering. Then they tried to go to engineering technology, and then they tried to go into business. Well, thank the engineering students for keeping the business curriculum strong, because all businesses is a number of individuals who failed out of engineering. You go get a degree in business administration or management, what are you going to do with it? It's a generic degree. The only business degree that's really worth something is accounting. Now you can minor in something, just like getting a general studies degree. You can go get a general studies degree all day, but in the end, if you don't have a minor in something, it's a useless degree. And so what, you're getting a PhD. They're making PhDs a lot easier to get than they used to, because a PhD is a terminal degree. But going back to Purdue Global, I was told that I had to have a bachelor's in business to get an MBA and to get a DBA, a master's in business. Well, the bottom line, they call that a standard, but you want my money. And I'm just going to tell folks this: do not go to Purdue Global. Do not go to Purdue Global. I got the person's name. Don't go there. All it is Kaplan wrapped up in Purdue. That's all it is. Now, the other part of Kaplan is known as NA University, North American University. Let me tell you something. If you go to a school other than Drexel and it's wrapped up with 10 weeks and they're all in quarters, don't go to that school, because you're going to end up paying more for courses that are in quarters than semesters. So you'll know this if you're going to school. 180 credits is actually, you want to know what it is in semester credits, how you get that number? I'll show you how to get that number. You divide 180 by 1.5. 1.5 gives you 120. Most of your credits are 120 credits. So you'll know this. So when you see something that has 5 quarter credits, you multiply that by 1.5. Then it'll tell you how many credits you're actually getting. Now, they're going to make it look like it is cheaper at Purdue Global. Now, the only one that's pretty good that I've seen, it used to be called UMUC, University of Maryland University College. That's Maryland Global. Those degrees, they have good degrees. They work on semesters. But you have too many people today getting indoctrinated by the media. The media is a poor sense of reference. It leads you to a trip to nowhere. But you got people who are so gullible, who don't do any reading. They believe everything that the media tells them. This is why the media is a very terrible source. You have a lot going on. You have individuals telling you how bad groceries are. Well, it all started out with eggs. That argument is gone. Then it started out with gas. That argument is gone. And are groceries really that high? Is going out to eat really that bad? Because I can tell you, every day I come home from work and I come down 82nd Street, that's where all the restaurants are here in Indianapolis. And even on Monday. Monday is generally a slow day in the restaurant business. You got all the fast food joints. They have plenty of cars lined up. Heck, right now, I went by KFC. It's that 10 for Tuesday. Get either 8 pieces of dark meat or 8 tenders for $10. Heck, I went in there myself a couple of times. Said, give me the 8-piece, give me the 10-piece chicken fingers, the chicken tenders. Walk out there, $20. You go home and scarf it down, you got food for 2 days. Then you got people like Kennedy out here. Shout out to Robert Kennedy. Having death threats against him because he wants to expose what's in the food. You stupid people out there, he's trying to keep you from getting sick. We dealt with people like Dr. Fauci telling us that we got to put a mask on to keep us from getting COVID. Meanwhile, on Memorial Day, while we all supposed to be locked in because of COVID, you had the individuals marching out with no mask on all summer, and we were supposed to be inside. Many of us couldn't go to work, but you had all these marches for George Floyd in Minnesota. And then they went across the nation, destroying everything. In 2020, did anybody forget that? Nobody is talking about that. But it happened. But we had to wear masks. But you have all these young people out there marching for what? George Floyd, I didn't care about him. It's a thug. Now, many people say they had drugs in the system. Now, one thing that I need you all to understand too is you need to watch how videos are clipped. If they do not play the whole video, be suspicious. The media is only going to play the part that's going to pertain to them to prove that they're right. In other words, they want to be right, so there's going to be a lot of bias out there. They're going to cut the frames, they're going to edit the frames. This is why I don't run clips on my channel. I want you to go see the videos for yourself, the whole video. What I'm going to do is give you the information based on how I see it, and I'm connecting the dots based on what's going on out here in the real world. News travels fast. If it weren't for X, if it weren't for True Social, we wouldn't have what we got going on now. I believe that the Democrats, in my opinion, unless there's some real cheating going on, because if this SAVE Act goes through, what the SAVE Act is, it's going to be voter ID. That means no more. See, the Democrats came up with all of these mail-in ballots. Well, no more mail-in ballots. 700 boxes were found in Georgia. Individuals don't like what Trump is doing because they were comfortable with the lies. A lot of it is about taking their money away. But they're stealing money from the folks to enrich themselves. And it's about time somebody calls them out for it. See, one of the reasons why a lot of us voted for Trump, this is where you Democrats, you just don't have an understanding of the people. Even your own people, your people are stupid enough to vote for you because they hate Trump. What it is, you Democrats are out of touch. You're utilizing the same old playbook from 60 years ago to now. Now, it used to work when we didn't have a lot of information like the internet. Because even cable now, cable TV has gone down. We get better news than the cable does. You know why we can do it? Because we can play our videos over and over and over and over again. And then there's X, and then there's True Social. News, instead of watching the 6-11, the 5, 6, and 11 news is recycled 24 hours. And we're getting it faster than the mainstream media is getting it, even if it's cable. I mean, I look at YouTube and I'm getting a lot of news. Now, there's some that I don't believe, like the one about Ilhan Omar. Yeah, that was all staged. And that was a deflection away from the fraud because she's been incited for fraud too. You come in, you're worth $100,000 and you go out and you're worth 30 million. Look what happened to Margaret, what was her name? Margaret Taylor Greene. What happened to her? And just because you hear somebody quitting, Marjorie Taylor Greene, reason why you hear a lot of people quitting is because they know they've done something. They've gotten their money and they want to do something else. And Trump has already reshaped the Republican Party. The Democratic Party has no real leadership. You have Hakeem Jeffries, he's out there talking. And the American people know that if you put the Democrats in power again, you know what's going to happen. This is why we're watching. I believe Sherrod Brown, he's going to lose the senatorial campaign. I believe Ramaswamy. Well, in Ohio, vote for Ramaswamy. Keep it red. He's a better candidate. Trump is going to stump for him. We need to get as many Republicans. Now, I'm not saying the Republican Party is great, but at least with the Republican Party, I got a sense of what they're talking about. And the only reason why the Republican Party, in my opinion, doesn't go full steam because they're afraid. They're really afraid of the left. They're afraid of being called racist. No, go full throttle, put the pedal to the metal, start putting these Democrats away. Because if the Democrats were in power, they would do the same thing to you. A lot of you Republicans don't know that. There's too many of you want to get reelected. The American people, if you do exactly what you say you're going to do, this is why I don't trust politicians at all. Trump is saying what we all want to say. Rash about it. In fact, 1989, Trump talked about the presidency. And this is when he was friends with Oprah. And he said he would never run for president. But Trump knew what was going on. And the reason why Trump became president again, because Trump got out there with the folks, the regular folks. He went to McDonald's. He went to Chick-fil-A. He's out there talking to us, although he's a millionaire. But Trump is not a politician. And I just want the folks right now, better embrace this now, because that man, you'll never see another Trump. You'll never see another person like a Trump come in to be president and see what the Democrats are really trying to do. We already had Obama. We won't see a truly, I'm talking about a black person be elected president. No, particularly if he's on the Republican side. And here's where I'm getting that from. Winsome Sears, black woman. They wanted a white liberal woman before a black woman. That's why she didn't get in. I know some individuals said she was a terrible candidate. They didn't want her in there. So you got Obama talking about racism. He didn't want the black woman in there unless the black woman thought like he did. That's a big problem. And in this country, we have a number of individuals who have no idea of what they're talking about. These politicians, they've been bought and paid for. All of these protests, they're not really protests. And believe it or not, the immigrants now, the illegal immigrants, they're the new black people. See, societies have written off of black people's civil rights movement for years. You had the alphabet community, you had the feminists, modern feminists, or the second wave of feminism, all wrote off civil rights. Well, the Democrats decided, well, we don't need black people anymore. So they want the illegal immigrants. Why? Because the illegal immigrants, all they can do is they can give them free handouts and they'll produce more people that they can brainwash where blacks aren't. But don't fool yourself, because you have some of them here that may go the other way. especially ones who have families, who have businesses. Bottom line is this. You have the Democrats that are out of touch, and they're really causing a decline in this country. And you have a number of people who are out of touch because they're not utilizing thought. They got lead in their ass. They're being lied to. And it's comfortable for them to be lied to. They don't want to be told the truth. They're using emotion. They're using assumption, delusion. And they're being deceived. And in the end, this is what individuals who are communists want you to be. They want to promise you the world and deliver nothing. And in the end, the individuals you vote for because you didn't like Trump, you think of it as a mirage. You're in a mirage, you see a mirage in the desert. It's a reflection of water, and you're really thirsty. And you go run to that reflection, and you get there, it's nothing there. That's what you all are getting from the Democratic Party. And all that information is going into the community. You look at the Black community, the churches, your pastors, they've all taken the bait. This is why the Black community will never grow again. The Black community, and even I still see it with some of the liberal white communities, because when you start putting your women in power, women will destroy your country. Because you already got a number of the liberal white women talking about the white patriarchy. You allow women to get out there and control something, and they have the power. Sorry, fellas, you end up sitting ducks. In the end, bottom line is this. Vote Democrat, then you're out of touch. Because what the Democrats want is to destroy the country. They want to bring in the little Cloward Pivens. And instead of really calling the kettle black, they put the blame on Trump, calling him a fascist, when real dictators, tyrannists, and the ones who want full power and control over our lives, people who have the donkey as a symbol and have a D before their name. And what does D stand for? Destruction. And if you vote Democrat, you have a number of these Christians out here go to church, but vote Democrat, you're not a true Christian. You're a fake Christian. And in the end, the Democrats will always keep you on a plantation. Rethinking is a no-go, because you can't control somebody who thinks critically. You can always control their emotions. The Democratic Party, they want you to do is to keep your ass on a plantation. Why? Because they believe they are your master. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. 401 Talk Zone radio show, You can find me right here, YouTube. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter. You can also find me on True Social and Rumble. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me right here on YouTube. Also find me on X, formerly Twitter. And you can find me on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is basically, it hasn't been working. Hope to get LinkedIn working so I can put videos up there. If I have to find another spot until LinkedIn gets up and running again, I will do that. But for the most part, for the individuals out here that understand the truth, you shouldn't be offended by what I'm going to say. And for all of you other individuals who are living these fake lives, or you're jealous and you want to basically criticize somebody for being successful and you're not successful, then there's something wrong with you. Here's what you need to do. You need to, right now, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then just change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.